Well, good morning, folks, to the 25th of March 2026. This is a little backlit sunrise. It's what we have this morning, looking to the west. Have some rain coming in this evening. It's supposed to be clearing later today and going from about 32 degrees up to the middle 50s. Of course, I'm here out at the preserve, looking at cloud patterns here this morning towards the east. You can see how the field is all laid down. Yep, from the winter and the snow and everything. You can really see the field well all the way across. Now when this begins to grow and becomes all lush again, the tree that you see right here, well, you won't see it for about the first 4 or 5 feet. And this field really comes in nice. There is one trail that you're allowed to use that is cut from the north to the south about halfway down the field, goes all the way to the cement pathway and sidewalk there along Parkview. But the rest of the field you may not enter, leaving it for the ground animals, the nesting birds, so forth, and I'm sure they appreciate it. Plenty of other places to walk out here. All right, we're going to get upon our day. I have an awful lot of personal running around to do. If I see anything or capture anything worthwhile filming, I'll certainly do that. Post it a little later. I have one day a month I have to go out and do all my personal business, and it's kind of like in the military. You get up in uniform, you have a formation, you have chow, and then it's payday activities. And after you report for pay in uniform, you then can go, and unless you have duty, you can jump into your civilian clothes, and you have approximately the next 24 hours to see how fast you can spend that check. I'll be right back. I'll tell you a good little story. Happened probably it was 79 or 80, whenever the Susan B. Anthony came out. But I was in West Germany at Ray Barracks, where I was stationed, Friedberg, West Germany. It's payday. We had our formation. Everybody that wasn't on duty had CQ or guard or something like that, augmentation force. You could still go and get your pay, but you had to, stay in uniform and hang around the post or wherever you were going to be there for duty. Everyone else report for pay, and after that you could, like I mentioned, jump into your civilian clothes and take off. Well, back when I was over there, I was an E3 at the time, a PFC, and I was drawing about just about $497, just under $500 a month. E1s were making like $328 for a private one, $328 a month. Okay? And so you go up and our post was old. It was pre-World War I, German built. Used to be a prison camp at one time for captured British officers in World War I. It then became a training post, as it were, for the SS in the German World War II era. Afterwards, of course, the U.S. took it over, and it was a U.S. base all the way up through, I think it was about 1990s when the post was turned back over to the Germans and closed, except for Elvis Presley's barracks. A couple other points of interest there at Ray Barracks. But anyways, we go across from our barracks to the chow hall, and on the second floor there was a large open room, almost like a dance hall. It had many tables set up all around. And each table, the first table would be like A through C, and then so forth, through the covering the last letter of your first letter of your last name. And behind each table was an officer, a lieutenant general, and there were several, maybe a dozen or so tables. And they'd have 20 millimeter military ammunition boxes. It used to hold 20 millimeter ammo. Except in those boxes, there was cash. There were MPs with 12 gauge shotguns standing at the entrance to the little facility, to the dining facility, and at the exit. There were also MPs at the entrance to that room and the exit to that room, plurally, standing there with 12 gauge shotguns. A lot of cash. That was the whole brigade being paid. Okay, so you go up there, you have your payroll voucher, you report to the officer, you stand at attention and salute, and PSC new house reports for pay, sir, like that, and you report for pay. The lieutenant just gives you this little salute back, and you approach, you lay down your paperwork. He goes through his little file. He has a little file. He finds the copy, he verifies it, you sign, and then he reaches into that big ammo can and starts bringing out the dinero and counting it down in front of you. If you're satisfied, like I said, if you're satisfied, you sign, and then away you go. And you have your voucher, of course, as well with you. And when you leave the facility, generally standing around close at hand are the fellows who people would get loans from for the month. 20 for 40, 40 for 80. Yep. They generally had a fella standing with them as backup in case somebody didn't want to pay up. Isn't that crazy? Yep. 2 or 3 guys like that standing there collecting. I never took a penny from any of those guys, but it's just the way it was. And then you'd head back to the barracks and jump into your civilian clothes and go take care of business. And you know, at the time over there, the marks versus the American dollar, $1 would get you 2 mark 80. I remember when I left, $1 American dollar would get you 1 mark 71. And the end of the Carter administration there, the dollar was slipping there a little bit to the Deutschmark. I don't know what it is now because now there are euros. But those were back in the days. We get pay and payday activities, and then of course downtown in Frankfurt, Germany, that place would just be booming. We'll go into that in another video. I would go down to the Class 6 store in Bad Nauheim, where you would buy your bottles and your cartons, we'll just say. A whole nother story there too. We actually needed a ration card associated with all that. That's quite a story. I'll tell you that one in the next one, and it's no story. It's fact. But yeah, those are the days of getting paid. Now, they had a Deutschmark table up there too in the room. You could take your dollars and immediately go right over to that Deutschmark table. There were 3 or 4 people working that, officers as well, and you could convert your American dollars into Deutschmarks, which I generally would do. I'd pick up a couple of hundred Deutschmarks and leave it at that. But one payday, they didn't have cash. And this made kind of a history in USAR, United States Army Europe, but we had to be paid And Susan, and rolls of Susan B. Anthony dollars. And I am not pulling anyone's leg. We got up in there and the word started spreading down the line. We were waiting that they're paying us in coin. What coin? What peace dollars or maybe rolls of Morgans from a certain mint in Colorado? Nope, Susan B's. And so I go in there and I draw my pay. You know, I back then I sent half my pay home, so I was getting about $250 in cash. And so I took $250 in rolls of Susan B. Anthony dollars. I took my little stack I was holding in front of me like it came out of Vegas or something with one of them chicken buckets walking down the street. I just hit that one-armed bandit. You know, that'd been cool, you know, get down there and get some of that Binion horde. You know, hey there, let's bring some of those double C Morgans and drop them out there on me. But no, I walked over my stacks right over to that mark table, and I converted them. And those poor people working that mark table, they were overrun and ran out of Deutschmarks. I was glad I was there at the time I was and was able to make that conversion and get out of there. But there you go. That made Stars and Stripes back in the day. Yep, unit paid and Susan B's. Bless her heart. Too bad they weren't 40% silver. Boy, I'll tell you, that would have been a nice little catch right there. Anyways, we'll see you in the next one. I got to get going. I'm feeling better. I hope you are too. Get things on the road here. Please stay safe and warm, and thank you for watching my humble channel. We'll see you in the next one.